TRS Clips, the place you arrive at if you just want the best bits of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. Subscribe, hit that bell icon. Web 1 was where you basically used blogs. So it was the form of the internet where you would go on a yahoo.com, you would go on a cartoonnetwork.com, you'd go on a wwe.com.
Correct.
And just read things. Probably not be able to interact. Web 2 is Facebook and Google, where you're interacting with the internet. You're uploading your own photos, you're uploading your own status. It had great UI, got lots of users, but the downside was that it made a few organizations very, very powerful.
Correct.
Because who's the most powerful person nowadays? It's not the president of the United States. It's the person who can ban the president of the United States from
their platform.
Yeah. It is the people at Twitter.
Correct.
It is the people at Google. It's the people at Facebook. It's the people at Amazon. It's the people in all the massive companies you hear about. The human race has realized the power and some of the downsides of Web 2, has learned from the best aspects of Web 2, and now is moving forward into Web 3, which is the new nature of the internet.
Correct.
And what people are hyped about when it comes to crypto, NFTs, this is just... it's the ABCs of this world.
Right. There's
so
the beginning.
much more that's going to be built in this world. It's so important a cultural change that one of the most mainstream entrepreneurs in the world is building out his company now as a Web3 company. He's saying that, no, I'm going to try. I'm going to rename Facebook into Meta. And I'm going to now take my company forward in this way. It's the center of conversation in Silicon Valley, in entrepreneurial circles, in finance circles.
What I would also like to touch on is, what is this metaverse, right? That this term is getting thrown around a lot, pretty much like artificial intelligence was a decade ago, right? So the easiest way I understand the metaverse is, it's a place you will live digitally, right? How did I understand this? So I actually got introduced to Roblox, which is now a very popular game. It's very, very popular in US and Canada amongst the 7 to 12-year-old. So my sister lives in Canada, and my younger niece, Anya, she loves Roblox. So last 5 years, every birthday gift, Christmas, Diwali, New Year, is just Roblox gift passes, right? And I would, play with her on Roblox because she's in Canada, I'm in India. And she would be like, oh, mama, come to this game, come to that game. And to me, like I said, gaming was either an escape or it was something which I wanted to achieve because I was competitive, right? So I played a lot of Age of Empire during IIT, a lot of Quake 3 in IIM Bangalore. And the reason was all my peers were playing it and I just wanted to be better. For Anya and for this generation, it's actually a place you hang out, right? So like how we used to play gully cricket after school or just roam around the neighborhood doing nothing or bike around doing nothing again, they actually would come to Roblox-like environments and just chill. So like she would take her iPad for an hour, go to FaceTime because Roblox, at least today, doesn't have voice chat, open up Roblox, and sometimes they will play a game. Sometimes their 3D avatars would just stand there with emojis and they would just talk.
Or what is the game? What do you do in it?
So Roblox has all sorts of different games, right? So there'll be some game where you're actually just doing dance. So it'll be just like an environment where you just go and you just have different dance steps. There'll be some games which will be like PUBG, so they're a little more serious. So it has millions of games. It's a user-generated games platform. Like YouTube is a user-generated video platform. Roblox is a user-generated games platform, right? And so really my understanding was that this generation, for them, these virtual ecosystems, and by the way, everything I'm describing is pre-pandemic, right? The corona pandemic and the lockdown only accelerated that trend, right? That trend was already there. For them, living in the digital world is very natural, right? Like if I today have to go on a call with my friends, I'll just do a WhatsApp call in that group, right? Anya would definitely go on to Roblox to talk to people. So for them, that is the natural interaction, not a video conference, not even an in-meet person, right? So I think Metaverse is, like I said, the place you live digitally, right? When you live digitally there, everything has to be there. My identity, right? So imagine today in the world of Facebook, I have one identity, Instagram is another identity, Twitter is another, and there is no connection, right? Whereas in real life, Anshul is one person. Of course, there are facets of personality, right? My interaction with you is different. How I am with my wife is different. How am I with my mother is different. But it's the same person, right? Different facets of the same person. Whereas who I am on Twitter for most people will be not related to who I am on Clash of Clans, so on. So the first thing we need in the metaverse is a wholesome identity. The second part, why Web3 and metaverse is a big movement, is autonomy and control of the interactions. See, in real life, I have some control over what interactions I want to make. But whereas if I go to Facebook or YouTube, they define all the rules. They tell you, if you want to post a video, this is what it needs to be. If you want to comment, it can either be a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or only this you can write, right? All the rules defined by centralized bodies, right? Of course, will metaverse also have some rules and regulations? Of course it will. But predominantly, the control and autonomy of interactions will be in my hand, which is why this metaverse and Web3 space is also really big, right? So Web 1, which is like the first dawn of internet, was all about peer-to-peer interactions, right? Like you will start your website, you will write something, host it on your own computer. I will see it. The internet connection, if you are based out of the US to India with the dial-up internet connection, takes me 10 minutes to download one page. Horrible user experience, right? Great part about Web 2, what companies like Google, Facebook did, is they created great UI UX, right? Great user experiences. But to do that, to achieve economies of scale, they centralize everything. So everything in their control. We will tell you what you need to do.
And we'll also take your data.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take your data, we'll take your privacy, we'll take everything to make money out of it, right? Now what is happening in Web3 is we have already learned what great UI UX is. We have learned what technology can do. We have learned how to scale it, right? So we are going to take all of that learning and go back and give that ownership and autonomy to all the users. So now you are in control of your data. You are in control, most importantly, of your interactions. So why ownership? So NFT is also giving you that ownership of property. But why is that ownership important? It is not important just because, hey, here is a stamp, I'm the owner. It's important because the ownership gives me the autonomy of what I can do with it, right? So in Clash of Clans, I buy the monthly pass every month, right? 449 rupees. I always do it because I feel like I'm progressing faster, etc. But I can't do anything with it outside of Clash of Clans, right? Like my TH13, Town Hall 13 village has no value outside of Clash of Clans. Whereas if Clash of Clans was a decentralized place, I would have owned it. Tomorrow, you, Ranveer, can come and say, you know what, I'll create another game. If you are a TH13 in Clash of Clans, come to my game and I'll give you the same progression. So that progression isn't lost, right? So now I have the autonomy to decide whether I play in Clash of Clans or I go to Ranveer's Clash of Clans to actually come and play it. So I think what people really need to understand is that all of us are driven by three main things: autonomy, competence, and like you said, relatedness or community, right? So Web 2 did a good job of relatedness and community by building social network apps. The competence part is probably going to come soon as well, and gaming helps a lot in competence. But the autonomy part has been missing. And this autonomy is what Web3 is enabling, which is why it's going to be 100x opportunity compared to the current Web2 internet, right? So if we are seeing $2 trillion companies, there is definitely a potential that, if we are only seeing 5 $2 trillion companies today, I would argue that instead of seeing a $200 trillion company, we will see 5,000 $2 trillion companies in the Web3 space, which is also why everybody should pay a lot more attention. Because anyone, even the current listener here, could be that trillionaire who creates that opportunity, creates those jobs, and creates very valuable ecosystems.
Is there that much money in the world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like at the end of the day, let me explain to you how I understand money, right? Like let's imagine that the only thing you and I value is getting a haircut, right? So we decide that we'll only get a haircut once a year. So the economy is 2 haircuts. I give you 1 haircut, you give me 1 haircut. Tomorrow we decide, you know what, it'll be better if we do a haircut every month. So suddenly we have increased the economy 12x, right? Because we are getting a haircut 12 times a year. The next day we decide we are going to do a haircut once every day. Now it has just gone up 30 times, right? So all economy is measuring the amount of transactions and interactions we are having, right? That's what I think people don't get about money and economy. It's only a measure of those interactions, right? We really over-index on money, right? Like before, what we used to do is, here is 1 kilo of rice, and instead of 1 kilo of rice, you'll give me 10, whatever clothes, right? Money just made it simpler to do that interaction, right? So, should we worry too much? Like is 2 trillion or 200 trillion a number, it doesn't matter. My point being that 5,000 amount of interactions are going to increase, which measured in money will obviously inflate the amount of money also with the same proportion.